So, Mr. Valderas, if you've already announced, and if you'll give me an opening statement followed by Ms. Tibbs' opening statement, then we can start with testimony.
Yes, Your Honor. Edward Balderas for the Office of Attorney General. The Attorney General's office filed this suit affecting the parent-child relationship for the child to be 18 months this weekend here. And that was filed on July 15th, 2024. We're here for a hearing on the merits of this case, Your Honor. I was able to confer with both parties. I believe I understand what it is Ms. Hicks is requesting today. I did try to confer with Mr. Body. He told me he prefers not to speak to myself and would rather speak to the court in a hearing. And so I was not able to get his position on things. But from what I can tell, Your Honor, I think they may be disputing all issues or most issues.
Okay. And then Ms. Tibbs, if you want to give me your opening statement, ma'am.
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 21 years old, and she is the mother of her firstborn and only child, who is subject to this suit. We are requesting that she become the sole managing conservator of the child, and that there be no geographical restriction. Even though we understand that this is a pretty significant request, the reason why we are requesting this is because Mr. Body has a history of physical violence to family members, as well as Mrs. Hicks. And so Ms. Hicks. So we are requesting that she become sole managing conservator of the child, with all rights and duties associated with that. We are also requesting that his visitation be supervised in a facility the first, third, and fifth weeks of each month, no more than 2 hours, no overnights, and that the child be placed in a secure environment when visiting with the dad, since the child is so young. And we are also requesting that he pay the cost for that facility. We're requesting a deviation from child support guidelines. We're not really sure whether or not he works, but there is some indication that he owns a clothing line and he does have the ability to work. He's not disabled in any way. My client, because she is required to work and she works at Amazon, she has to pay $500 to $600 a month for daycare for the child so that she is able to work. Currently, the child is on Medicare, and that because there's no medical insurance, Medicaid, because there's no insurance available at a reasonable cost to her. So she gets both medical and dental for that. My client is also asking for arrears in child support because
there's no arrears. You're talking about retroactive child support?
Yeah, retroactive. I'm sorry. Retroactive child support. Thank you very much, Judge. Retroactive child support from the date of the birth of the child. But she is willing to give him a $500 credit because that is what she believes that he's given her since the birth of the child. Dad has not seen the child on a regular or consistent basis. And again, it's mostly because of his history of violence and, and it's very severe toward her. He has a protective order against him. He also has had aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and aggravated assault with bodily injury. So because of this, for the safety and well-being of the child, we are requesting that his visitation only be supervised and limited for a child that's under the age of 3.
Okay, I guess let me ask real quick. When you said protective order, well, my radar goes up. Is it against this Ms. Hicks? Or
no, it's the prior girlfriend.
And it expired, or are you aware? And are you aware of any of the details? Is it over or is it still ongoing?
Are you asking me,
Yes,
Judge?
ma'am. Yeah.
We just we
Found a-
pulled it up. Yes. We have the date of the protective order. And we have the case number, and it's against an ex-girlfriend, and it was brought in Travis County.
Do you know the start date or the end date of the thing?
No, we were not able to pull up the document.
Okay. And then is the aggravated assaults, I think you said 2 counts of different things. Did they
Aggravated assault with a deadly weapon that occurred in 2020. And he's had actually 3 different causes of action for possession of marijuana, 2 bond forfeitures, and assault causing bodily injury, which was in 2021. And he was put on deferred and was revoked in 2023.
Okay. And are they resolved, or or he would know, but I just don't know if you know some of his tips. You're going to present evidence on those and what happened to them, or you're not sure?
Yes, we want to present evidence.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Body, I believe. I've given the lawyers a right to do an opening statement, which that's what they're used to doing. That gives me an idea what I'm going to hear. However, with you, I can give you that opportunity as well. But you're also going to have the chance to, under oath, tell me what exactly your story is. And so I don't really want you to talk to me twice because that takes a longer time. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to forgo your opening. And when you're testifying, that's when you'll tell me your story. Okay? Mr. Body, you okay?
Okay, so I'm just giving you my opening statement right now.
Well, can you make it as brief as the lawyers did and not without all the facts? Just tell me the highlights of the issues before the
Okay. What I'm here today for is to have a relationship with my son that Mr. Sayer Dion Body has not been able to have a relationship with his father due to the fact that Miss Hicks have moved away from Austin, Texas, and not due to anything that I have done to her.
Mr. Body, let me stop you. You want to tell me about the actual facts of the case? Let me ask you, so the custody, you want to see your child, I presume, correct?
My whole thing is a relationship with my child.
Okay. Mom's asking for primary custody. You're not asking to take the child away from mom and raise the child?
No, I'm just asking for visitational rights.
Visitation rights?
For my own time, on my own. I don't want her around. She doesn't want me around. Tell me the details
in a minute, but right now you are arguing for visitation rights. On the child support, they're asking, they don't know what they're asking because it depends on what I hear, what you're making. Are you somewhere where you can tell me your income, or is that going to be a problem? Is it off?
So roughly in a month, I make $2,000. I work a security job actually, and I just started my own clothing line not even a few months ago. So okay. My clothing line has not took off.
Let me stop you again. I don't want to hear the details yet. It's about, can you prove your income, or is it just going to be based on your
I sent my income in to the Attorney General. I've sent all my proof and evidence into the people to let y'all see like my pay, how I got paid, how much I'm getting paid.
Happy to look at it when we get to that. So I know you have evidence to present. That's great. And then custody visits, child support, medical support. You don't have any private insurance, medical insurance or dental insurance that's available to you?
Currently, I am inactive with my insurance. I haven't recently been able to pay it just due to the fact of just high cost of it. But I do have insurance.
Question, you can't provide it, you don't have it. So I know that part. And child support, medical support, it's going to be a fact issue on what you make and the guidelines, and we'll talk about that when you're testifying. Back paid, do you agree that $500 credit should be credited to you, or you say that's more or less?
I definitely have sent way more than $500. I sent $500 in like the first week of my son being born. Truly and honestly, ma'am, like I said, I've sent in all my receipts, all my evidence of how much money I've sent Miss Hicks throughout this whole process of our son being born.
Okay, did you add them up for anybody, or you just sent in the receipts for somebody else?
So when I added it all up, it came out to roughly $4,000. When I added it up from Apple Pay, from Cash Apps, from Venmo, from PayPal, I added all that up.
Okay,
it came out to roughly $4,000 or $5,000.
That gives me a better idea of what the issues are and how far apart y'all are at. I'll get the details when you testified. So that'll be your opening statement. Anything else in a way of a one sentence?
I would like to say that I have not been able to see my son but only 8 times in his entire life, and it's not due to any violent occurrence that I have against Ms. Hicks. That is a false claim. I will say that because my case has nothing to do with our child, has
Okay.
nothing to do with Ms. Hicks.
Okay, Mr. Body, I want to hear your story, but I can't get there unless we finish with opening, and the state's going to start calling witnesses. They're going to decide who goes first because they're the ones that filed the lawsuit. Ms. Tibbs, wasn't made aware that you filed any cross action, so you don't have anything else.
I have not.
I haven't seen it. Okay, thank you. And so they're going to call witnesses. They're going to ask questions. You get to answer questions. You don't get to take over and do whatever you want whenever you want. We're going to go orderly, and don't interrupt when she's talking, and I won't let her interrupt you when you're talking. Got it? Okay, and this applies to you too, Ms. Hicks. You're listening. I know you sure understand that, or your lawyers explained a little bit of it. Okay,
Yes,
let's get started. Mr. Valderas, you want to call your first witness?
Yes, Your Honor. The state would like to call Ms. Aniya Hicks. However, the state would like to defer to Ms. Tibbs to direct examine her own client. If there's anything that she does not touch on that's before the court, Your Honor, the state would also like to direct after.
That would be fine. And so, Ms. Tibbs, you want to start with the direct of your client?
Yes, I'll go ahead. Can you state your name, please? Your full name?
Aniya Renee Hicks.
Wait, did I swear you all in? I just dawned on me. I may not have sworn you in. Is that right? Oh, gosh. Okay, I'm glad I caught myself. Mr. Body, Ms. Hicks, go ahead and unmute, sir, and raise your right hands for me, both of you. Do each of you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, starting with Mr. Body
Yes.
and Ms. Hicks?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Now we'll go for it.
Okay, can you state your full name?
Aniya Renee Hicks.
Okay, and where do you currently live?
I live in Garden Ridge.
Okay, and you live with your parents, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and were you in a relationship with Mr. Christopher Body?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and in the relationship with him, did you have a child?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is the name of your child?
Sire Dion Body.
Okay, and what date was he born?
June 14th, 2023.
Okay, and when he was born, were y'all living together?
No, ma'am.
Okay, isn't it a fact that when when that child was conceived, that you were a freshman in college? Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I was
And where did
sophomore.
you a sophomore? And where did you attend school?
Concordia University.
Okay, and you had the child, and at the time that you had the child, was he working?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what type of job did he have?
He was a security guard at a nightclub.
Okay. And you heard, well, when your child was born, do you remember what hospital your child was born?
St. Edward's.
Okay. And when he was born at St. Edward's Hospital, was Mr. Body there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And was he there for the entire delivery?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Was he asked to leave the delivery room
Yes,
at
ma'am.
some point? And why is that?
There was an altercation where he was screaming at me to the point where my blood pressure went up, and the nurses had to come in and ask him to remove himself from the room so my doctor could come in and talk to me about my health because my son was losing oxygen.
So you successfully, despite that incident, you successfully gave birth to the child. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Were there any other instances where Mr. Body acted inappropriately or aggressively toward you?
Yes, ma'am. During our son's first birthday party,
What happened?
I was cussed out in the parking lot of Peter Piper's Pizza, which is where our son's first birthday was. He also had an altercation with me at my friend's apartment right before the party. And same altercation. It was the same argument that we were having at the Peter Piper's. And I was just being cussed out primarily a majority of the time.
Has he ever physically assaulted you or any other family member?
Yes, ma'am.
And who is that?
He's grabbed me before in an aggressive way.
And are you aware that he has a protective order against him for aggression toward another female?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you also aware of the fact that he has been aggressive toward his own mother?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you known him to act in an uncontrollable, violent manner against you and other people you know?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you describe what happened?
It usually starts with a lot of arguing and just screaming. There's normally not much room for anybody else to get anything else across to him because he's enraged so much.
Okay, so in your relationship with him, do you think he's able
about
to?
arguing and screaming? Did you follow up on that, Ms. Tibbs? I'm not sure where the aggressive, uncontrollable, violent manner was.
Okay, I can, Your Honor.
I don't want to assume anything. I want to hear facts.
Okay, so you said that what has he done to you other than scream at you?
He's gotten in my face before. He's grabbed me, as in the sense of like grabbing both of my arms to restrain me from leaving my dorm room before. He's never hit me or anything of that matter, but he has grabbed me before to restrain me from leaving.
Now, when you were in college and you were a sophomore, how old were you?
I was 19 at the time, turning 20.
Okay. And so you were 19 years of age. And how old was he?
He was 28, turning 29.
And isn't it a fact that he lived in your dorm room?
Yes, ma'am. I'd probably say 3 or 4 month span, he was staying in a dorm room with me and 2 of my other roommates.
Okay. And did you get in trouble for having him staying in your dorm room?
Yes, ma'am. They actually threatened to kick me out if he was not, if they found proof that he was living in the dorm room.
And so did he eventually leave at your request?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that a difficult situation?
No, ma'am. He was told to leave and he packed his stuff. But whenever it first occurred, it was a conversation, but no, not a difficult situation.
Well, isn't it a fact that he was banned from the university being on campus?
Yes, ma'am. That was after he came to visit. After he was told to leave, he came to visit one of the days and walked around the campus screaming at me as I was trying to defuse the situation by walking away. He walked around campus yelling at me, yelling threats at me, and to the point where one of my campus advisors had to stop him and tell him that he needed to go wait in a different room for our sheriff to come and speak with him.
Now, the aggressive behavior that he has had toward you, do you think that it's acceptable for him to be around a child that's under the age of 3?
No, ma'am.
Do you think that a child under the age of 3 is able to, do you think it's in the child's best interest to be cared for him without supervision?
No, ma'am.
And why not?
I don't see that he has a lot of patience with adults, let alone children. I just know my child and know that he is a handful sometimes, and I don't think that he has the patience to be able to handle him.
Have you ever observed him with his child or any other child and noted some concerns that you have in regards to him? And
yes, ma'am.
What are those?
During his first birthday, we also had gotten a hotel for all of us to share, so that way he had more time with Zaire. And during that time, my son, I believe, had accidentally hit him with something, and he proceeded to yell in his face to the point where I had to put my arm down because I felt as if my son was in danger in that moment.
Now, what do you think would be an acceptable visitation schedule for the dad?
I would be fine with anything between like if he had a weekend day to be able to see him for 2 to 3 hours.
Do you think it's important that the child be seen at a facility?
Yes, ma'am.
And why is that?
Just because of the violence and the threats that he has made. He's threatened to bash out windows that our son was sitting underneath, which was also during his first birthday. He threatened to bash out my window of my car, and our child was, I had the car seat put underneath the window at the time.
And do you think he's capable of following through on any of these threats? Or is he just fussing at you?
I don't know.
Do you know of his criminal history?
Yes, ma'am. With the violent past, I would say that he is capable of doing it, but none of the threats have been followed through.
And do you think that the child's emotional and physical well-being would be in jeopardy around him if he is not supervised in some way?
Yes, ma'am.
And why is that?
He's, again, just the patience. Me being the primary caregiver, it takes a lot of patience for me to do things with my child and get him to understand that he can't, the normal of throwing tantrums and stuff like that. He can be a handful, and I think that his patience is very thin whenever it comes to people in general. So I just feel
normally in cases where people are sharing a child, the child can go home with the other parent. Do you know where he lives?
No, ma'am.
Has he ever given you his address?
No, ma'am.
Are you concerned that if you were to release your child to him at an undisclosed address, that you would or would not get your child back?
Yes, ma'am. That's actually been one of the threats that he has made within the lifespan of our child being born, that he would take Sayer from me and go somewhere else and never return with him.
And do you think he's capable of doing that?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you think that would be a safe environment for your child?
No, ma'am.
Now, in regards to child support, do you have any idea how much money he makes as a security guard?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And how much would you say is required for you to take care of your child monthly?
Roughly 2,000. Or you said monthly?
Mm-hmm.
Roughly 2,000. I pay $600 in daycare, and then on top of that, having to pay for medical bills and if he needs medicine, if he goes to the doctor and they prescribe him a certain medication that I have to pick up. There are sometimes copays because not everything that he needs is under a copay or underneath insurance.
So you are requesting that he pay at least half of the amount of the daycare?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then you are also requesting that he pay whatever the guideline support is for the amount of income that he can prove that he makes?
Yes, ma'am.
In regard to medical care, currently the child is on Medicaid. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you or do you not have medical insurance at a reasonable cost to you that you can afford?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, not through Medicaid, but through your job.
Yes, ma'am, through my job. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but currently you're on Medicaid, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your intention to stay on Medicaid, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, are you able to pay the additional cost for insurance?
At the job, no. It's come up to they're just now restarting it at the very moment for enrollment, and it would cost me at least $150.
Okay. And are you able to do that and provide for a place for your child to stay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Or is it better for you to be on Medicaid?
It's better for me to stay on Medicaid, and as far as right now.
Okay. Currently, you live with your parents. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have the ability to live on your own financially?
No, ma'am.
In regard to retroactive child support, how much child support has he given you since y'all been together?
I'd roughly say around $500.
Okay, you heard his testimony or his opening statement. He said that he's given you at least $4,000. Is that true?
No, ma'am. I also sent records that show that of how much money he's actually sent.
Mm-hmm. And the total amount that he's paid you is what?
It came out to roughly 460 something, or I'm sorry, 470 something.
Okay.
So almost $500.
Okay. So he doesn't have any additional money that he's paid you for the welfare and benefit of the child. He didn't bought diapers or clothes or anything like that.
No, ma'am, not outside of the $500.
Mm-hmm. In regard to conservatorship, are you also requesting that you have no geographical restriction for a place where you need to place the child?
Yes, ma'am.
And why is that?
Just with the threats as far as leaving the area, leaving the state with my child. I just don't think that it would be a safe environment for him.
In your relationship with him, did you have a chance to meet both his mother and his sister?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And have they also had conversations with you about their concerns with his inability to manage his anger?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you believe that those conversations were truthful and informative?
Yes, ma'am.
And has he had violent attacks on either his sister or his mother?
Yes, ma'am, and on his mother.
On his mother. Okay. Is there anything else that you are requesting from the court today? Child support to be at the guidelines or a little bit more to assist you in your payment for daycare. You're requesting to continue on Medicaid and have reimbursement for that. You're asking for retroactive child support back to the date that your child was born. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're asking that his visitation be supervised, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
In a daycare.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, in a facility.
Yes, ma'am, the facility.
And are you also requesting that in the future that there be a non-disclosure of your address if you do move on your own?
Yes, ma'am.
And why is that?
He's also made threats about coming down to my house or my parents' house, threatening to harm other people in the house, myself, my parents.
And your parents have seen that?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there anything else that is important for the court to know in regard to making a decision in this case?
No, ma'am. I think we covered everything. Or other than the altercation I was in labor at the time of the altercation at the hospital, where I was being screamed at and just threats screamed at. It was a lot of different things going on. And to the point where my doctor was asking me if I would feel comfortable with him being in there during the delivery.
And what was your response to the doctor?
I told him yes at the time, just because I didn't want him not to be able to see his child being born because he is the father of his child. So,
As a matter of fact, he signed an acknowledgement of paternity, correct?
yes, ma'am.
Are you fearful of him?
Yes, ma'am. Of his aggression towards me, and the threats, yes.
And do you think he could cause physical harm to you or your child?
Yes, ma'am.
I pass the witness.
Mr. Valdez?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Hicks, I think is it fair to say that you believe Mr. Body has a bad temper?
Yes, sir.
How long have you known Mr. Body?
Roughly 2.5 years.
And in that time, have you always known him to have a temper, or is it something that he developed over time?
I believe that it got worse over time. He's always had a temper, but I believe that it got worse after the first year.
Why do you think it got worse?
He had lost a lot of people in his life, and that was what he had told me, was that's why his anger had gotten worse.
So he's acknowledged to you in the past that he has issues with his anger?
Yes, sir.
Has he told you what he tries to do to address those issues?
Other than going to his anger management, that was all that I was told.
Okay. You said that, does he currently know where you live?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if you plan to move in the future, would you want your address to not be disclosed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I think you stated why you want that. When it comes to visitation, I understand that you want it to be supervised, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you said that you wanted to do it at a facility, and I take that to mean that you want it to be supervised by a third-party agency. Is that
Yes,
fair to
sir.
say? Okay. And do you live in Comal County?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I know that there is an agency that does supervised visits for a fee. That agency, I believe, is called Kinder Time. It's been around for a couple of years now. And while I don't believe they have a facility, they do have people that supervise visits, and they facilitate the visits between the parents and with the child, and are present during the visitation times. And it seems like a good agency, and they've done some good work with folks. Is that kind of supervised agency that you would be comfortable with?
Yes, sir.
And you stated that you would want your visits to be on the weekends. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Is that when you have availability?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm thinking that probably most people that use Kinder Time also have weekend visits. So I think a lot of things are going to be dependent on their availability, if that's what the court orders. Do you have the flexibility to have visits at different times at different days according to Kinder Time schedule, as well as yours and Mr. Body's?
Yes, sir. I do have an off day during the week, Tuesday.
Okay. Just in case they don't have the availability on the weekend, but for all I know, they do, and it's not an issue. But I'm just trying to anticipate what you could hear from them. I believe also that they charge an intake fee to each parent when they apply for their services, and I want to say it's $50 per parent, and they take it from that particular parent. Will that be an issue for you?
Yes, sir. I've been taking care of my son by myself for majority of his life, other than the $500 that I have gotten from his father. I'm basically living paycheck to paycheck, trying to support my son by myself.
Okay. Let's see. Mr. Body had testified that he has given you several thousand or $4,000 roughly of support. You said it's closer to 500. What was that for? What was the money that he gave you for?
There was $300 sent to me for just diapers and wipes and food for Zaire at one point. And then there was, and in spurts, there would be money sent for gas for me to get Zaire to daycare. And that was honestly it. He did also buy him a car seat. That was $50, but that was also what I added into the 500. It was in addition with the 500.
When he sent you this money, how would he send it to you?
Either CashApp or Apple Pay.
Okay. Okay. I think that's all the questions I had for you, ma'am. I'll go ahead and pass the witness.
Okay. Let's move on with Mr. Body, and then I'll later on, after I hear his story, I'm going to let the cross-examination happen against Ms. Hicks.
Okay.
Let's move on right now.
Yes, Your Honor. State will call Mr. Christopher Body. Mr. Body, I have some questions for you, and the judge is here, and she'll be able to hear all your answers. So while I will be asking you the questions, you're talking to the judge, really, not so much to me. But my question for you, I guess, to start with is, you said that you wanted a relationship with your son, and so in your ideal situation, what kind of relationship would you have with your son going forward?
Okay, so the reason I don't have a relationship with my son is because Miss Aniya Hicks decided to get up and leave and go to San Antonio because her parents told her to come back home. Now, with that being said, she failed to mention that I did have an apartment. I did have my own apartment, and my cousin passed away, who was also my roommate. He passed away. I couldn't afford $3,600. Miss Hicks wasn't working. She didn't have any money to help me with the apartment, so I had to give it up.
Okay.
That was my thing. My relationship with my son,
yeah.
I would love to have a relationship. I have never spent 24 hours with my son besides June 15th of this year, and that was because of his birthday. And the only reason that is because Miss Hicks have kept my son away from me this entire time. She feels like she isn't. I feel like she is. The reason I feel like she is, pertaining to the incident that she mentioned with the quote-unquote threats, is her father has actually threatened my life and told me I'm not allowed to come to their house because of a conversation me and Miss Hicks had. She decided to implement her parents into it. Her father got on the phone and threatened my life and told me never to show up to his house again. So with all that being said, now I have to go out of my own way. I'm already paying $200 to go Uber down to see my son because I lost my car in a car wreck. So I paid $200 to go down there to see my son. Miss Hicks has actually met me in multiple locations and picked me up from, or not even, she picked me up one time from the whole time I've Ubered out there just so I could see my son. So every time I ask Miss Hicks to go see my son, it's always oh, my car doesn't work. Oh, my parents doesn't want me to drive up here. Oh, you got to come down here. You got to come down here. Why am I always got to come down there is my thing. And that's why it's so hard for me to have a relationship with my son. And then she moved away from Austin, Texas, where he resides at. So it's harder for me to manage the relationship with him.
You said you've had about 8 visits with your son?
His entire life. And none of them have been more than 24 hours besides once, and that was June 15th.
Okay. So how long did you have your son on those visits?
I've only been to her parents' house for 5 hours at max. They give me a time restriction. I can only stay at their house for this amount of time. So I don't get to see my son or have a real relationship with him. Even before everything went left and bad with us, it was never a chance for me to have my relationship with him anyways, because her parents didn't allow me to stay to help her to take care of our son. So with that, it was harder for me to make a relationship with my son. It's harder for me to take care of him if I only have this much time to spend with him, but I got to give you this much money to take care of him.
So you would meet at her house? I mean, at her parents' house?
Every
stay
single
for 5
time.
Hours?
Every single time. Every single time.
So you had 5-hour visits with them, and then you would leave?
Twice a month until she started keeping him away from me. I only got to see my son regularly the first month he was born, the second month he was here. After that, she kept him away from me because she had issues. We just couldn't. I didn't want to agree to things that she wanted me to do, and she didn't want to agree to things I wanted to do. So she decided to take it upon herself. Okay, well, I'm not going to let you see your kid. And since you don't want to listen to me or go agree to my terms, this is what's going to happen. So for 6.5 months, she kept my son away from me. Zero contact, no contact, no nothing. Blocked me on every social media, blocked my phone number. I had to go third party through my mom in order to send my son clothes and get pictures. And my mom literally has the receipts that I gave her and told her, hey, give this to Miss Hicks and tell her it's from you, so she doesn't think it's from me and she doesn't destroy your stuff or do whatever with it. And now she's claiming that I've never done nothing, but I've always had receipts. The $500, sir.
Okay, Mr. Body, when did the issue between her father making threats to you occur?
It occurred like it's month and a half of Sire being born. Like I said, me and Miss Hicks, we had an argument, a debate. I forget exactly what led up to the debate. I forget exactly what we were even talking about. I'll be honest and say that much. All I do remember is that she got her parents on the phone. Her dad picked up her phone and was like, he opened the statement with, oh, you talking to my daughter crazy, blah, blah, blah. I will have some people come and get you, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, okay.
But after that conversation with her father, you still had visits at their house. Is that right?
No, sir. I was not allowed to go no more to their house. Her father said I'm not allowed to be at their house. Never again.
Okay. Because you said that you hadn't been able to see Zaire for the last 6 months, but you did have 8 visits at
No, sir.
parents' house.
You misheard me. I said she kept my son away from me for 6 months. I haven't been able to see my son his entire life.
But she saw him for 5-hour time periods.
For the first few months of his life, which was literally the first month and a half.
And so, and the conversation with her father happened about a month and a half after Zaire was born.
Yes, sir.
After that conversation, you still had visits at their residence?
No, sir. None. Zero.
Okay. All right. And so I think what I asked you beginning with, was what kind of visits you want to see if it was up to you.
So how things have been going, I've only talked to my son through FaceTime. And that's if she's allowed me, because she feels like, oh, I don't pay her phone bill. I'm not allowed to talk to my child if I piss her off or if we have a bad conversation. So once again, there's no real relationship with my child. So yes, my son doesn't know who I am. My son physically doesn't know who I am. When he acts out with me, it's only because he doesn't know who I am. I haven't done no physical harm to my child, and I've actually grew up in a home with kids. I was 9 years old raising a kid with my sister. She had her first kid. I have an older sister that are 25 years of age when I was like 9, having babies in the house. So I've been taking care of kids my entire life, honestly. And even she knows that. She's met my family. She's met my nieces and nephews. She met my entire family. That statement that she made of, oh, I'm a threat to my son, where I've never even been around him to be a threat.
Okay.
Never had a relationship with him.
Mr. Body, what's your current situation here? Do you live by yourself or with family, or?
I have a roommate. Me and my roommate, we stay together. She doesn't know this because, like I said, we don't talk. She stopped communication with me. This is not something that Christopher wanted. She has done this on her own. So this is why she doesn't know where I stay. This is why she doesn't know about my lifestyle, what I do. She's just going off what she thinks she knows based off what she hears from other people that live in Austin, not what Aniya is witnessing herself, because she has been away from Austin, Texas for almost 2 years now.
And you live in Austin?
Yes, sir. Where our son was born at.
And how long have you lived in Austin?
Pretty much since I came back home from college.
And how long has that been?
2018. So like roughly
6 years?
6 years, yeah. Okay. Honestly, I can't do the math for real.
All right. And you said you don't have transportation currently because your car you were in an accident. Is that right?
I got hit in a car accident, which Miss Hicks knew about that. And I had a Fiat. I had a burnt orange Fiat. And I got into a car accident, not on my own fault. Someone else hit me, and I had to give up the car. So it was just like, okay, that's it.
When did that happen?
This happened while Miss Hicks was pregnant, actually, with our son, Zaire.
So you haven't had your own transportation for a year and a half?
Yes, sir. And I've been operating with Ubers to go down there to see my son. Yes, sir.
I see. Okay. And Miss Tibbs had mentioned that there was some criminal history that you have. Have you? Do you
Yeah,
have
I
any
could touch on
pending
that.
criminal cases?
I could touch on that. So honestly, with my criminal case, the violence that they're proclaiming happened is honestly not what happened. So I'm actually getting my case appealed because there's been new evidence to come up that the person that's on my case has actually made a false statement. So they're trying to get that figured out right now and to actually get the whole thing worked out. I'm going to court for that right now, currently.
Is your case out of Travis County?
Yes, sir, it is. It is. It's in Travis County. So my aggravated assault with deadly weapon was the only charge that they gave me due to the fact of, as I said, at the opening statement that they gave at the beginning of the whole situation, they just went off what they knew. I had my lawyer fight for my case. I've been appealing my case for the past 2 years. I'm on probation, and I've been doing what I have to do for my probation. I've been free this whole entire time. I get off probation in 9 months.
Okay.
And my case will be dismissed in 9 months off my record, off my arrest record, because there was new evidence that I know I'm about to win the appeal with. So with that being said, my case is going to dismiss and my whole charge of criminal history of this charge that I have is out the door.
And who were you accused of assaulting?
At the time, it was a girl. It wasn't my ex-girlfriend because I'd never dated the girl. It was a girl that I had just sexual interactions with, and her name was Laura Gavon. You can call her up. I don't know if I have that information on her, but her name was Laura Gavon, Galvin. That was her last name.
And did you ever have a protective order on you to not be near her?
The court issued that. I personally wasn't going to be around the girl anyways because I went to jail, so it didn't make sense for me to be around her. But the court did issue that, and I honored it because what do I need to be around her for? So, like I said, I haven't done nothing to the girl. Don't talk to her. Don't even be in her space. I did everything my probation asked me to stay away from her. Everybody, my whole probation even's been applauding me for it. I've honored everything my probation has ever asked me to do. I haven't been in trouble with my probation. Haven't been doing too much. I've just been going to my job, handling my business, doing what I got to do to get this probation off my record, because in reality, I know I'm about to get my case appealed. So this is what I'm here.
Do you have any assault charge against you regarding your mother?
No, sir. That is a false statement, and I would love for my mom to come to the court and actually make that statement herself. If Miss Hicks can prove that I put my hands on my mother, have a violent past with my mother, I would love to see that, because that is the very most inaccurate statement of the most untold truth in the world. Me and my mom just talked 10 minutes before I woke up this morning. We were saying good luck and thank you. Me and my mom actually have a very great relationship since these past few years. Me and my mom has never had a great relationship because how my upbringing was. That has nothing to do with Miss Hicks, has nothing to do with how Miss Hicks was treated. She doesn't know nothing about that. So for her to bring that statement in, that was very attacking and antagonizing towards my image and my mom and my family. I felt like, because you don't know nothing about that, there was nothing towards that. And you could call my mother, we could bring her to the stand, she'll testify against you.
Have you ever been arrested for anything other than the aggravated assault?
That's it. Just my aggravated assault. I have a possession of marijuana. I got caught with a gram of weed. Really, it wasn't even me. I was just with someone, and wrong place, wrong time. I got arrested for it. I don't know why I got arrested for it, but I did. And I went to jail for 3 days. They gave me time served. I did my community service. I had a bond forfeiture because, once again, they revoked a jaywalking ticket that I had. Go do your research on it. It was a jaywalking ticket. I didn't know I had even on my like citations or whatever, a warrant out for my arrest for it, a 5-year-old jaywalking ticket. And I got arrested, got pulled over. I was going somewhere, forget where I was going somewhere, got pulled over. Cop seen that I had an arrest record, or he seen I had a warrant. And I was like, for what? And he was like, yeah, you have an outstanding warrant for an outstanding warrant for jaywalking ticket for
Okay.
unpaid ticket. So that's what the crime was really for. That's
Was
what
there
the
an
bond
incident?
forfeiture for.
Was there an incident at the hospital with regard to Miss Hicks?
Yes. So with that, and I'll explain that. So what Ms. Hicks failed to mention in that whole situation is we were actually in good standings. I have all the videos of everything and pictures of us having a blast while she's in labor and all this other stuff. So what happened was it was just a small incident. It turned into a bigger thing because I asked Ms. Hicks questions and she didn't feel like she needed to ask her questions. But now it was basically this phone situation. I picked up her phone on accident. I didn't think we had the same type of iPhone, same case, everything. I picked up her phone. I was going through her phone unknowingly, thinking it was mine. Going through it, I happened to see a couple messages in there that I was like, nah, this can't be my phone. So now I'm questioning her about it, like, hey, what is up with this? What's up with that? She's not trying to answer the questions. And I'm like, yo, can you answer these questions? Like, at the end of the day, you're telling me that you're not, going outside our relationship and out this and that. But I see these messages that makes me believe you went outside our relationship. So I'm trying to get the real answers. She was playing the, I don't need to talk to you. I don't got to answer you. She played that role of it. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, this is what it is. And I started telling her, this is what I'm finna do. Since you don't want to do this, all right, I'm going to write these people myself and see what's going on. She made it a big thing. Like, why are you making it a big deal? Well, I'm sorry that you're in labor with a child that you say is mine, but yet I see that you have other men in your phone that you have went out the relationship with. So for me, I'm looking at it like, hey, can you answer these questions? If not, okay. And yes, I signed the birth certificate because I believe that my child is mine. Yes, I did. Yes, I signed it because I believe Sayer Dion Body is my child. Yes, I'm not going to deny that. But where the claims of our incident, it came strictly from me asking her questions. It was never, I just got aggressive with her. I came to the hospital like, oh, what the, like, no, it was literally an incident that she failed to mention. Like I said, I picked up her phone unwillingly, accidentally. We had the same type of phone, same type of case, same type of iPhone.
Okay.
And that's just how that happened.
Okay. You may have heard that Miss Hicks has requested that visits be through a third-party visitation agency, whereby she wouldn't supervise the visits, but someone else would, and for a fee, do that. Does that sound like something you would agree with?
No, sir. I don't think that's fair to me due to the fact that I never even had a chance to build a relationship with my own kid. So now you're telling me I have to be supervised to have a relationship with my son that I've never even got a chance to have an honest chance with. She moved before our son was even born. Only reason our son was born in Austin is because her pediatric guy is in Austin. She moved to San Antonio. Literally, I didn't force her to. There was nothing that I did to make her move to San Antonio. She got up and left, and now it's harder for me to have a relationship with my child. I told her this. I spent $200 as I sent into you guys. I send in all my Uber receipts. I spent $200 on Uber just to go see my son. When I'm down there, I purchased things. Me and Miss Hicks have went to go eat. I purchased things for my son when I'm down there, and then I still go back home. So in total, I'm coming out of my pocket $600-700 every visit, and then I get told I'm not doing enough. And it's like, hey, yo, like, I still have to live. I still have things I got to take care of. Just like, you have your mommy and daddy and you stay in a house with them, your own house. She stays in a guest house. They have their own land. They have their own acres. She stays in a guest house on her parents' land. And I'm telling her like, well, I had a place to stay first off, and I was staying with a friend. I wasn't living on her campus with her. I was visiting her. I would stay there for long periods of time, like 3 to 4 days at max. And when I was there, I was feeding Miss Hicks, taking care of her, making sure she was good, making sure she had things she needed because Miss Hicks had no job. She had no money coming in. So I was doing everything in my own will to protect and help and make sure she was nurtured, even having money, whatever the situation is. I made sure I did my part enough to where I was trying to show her like, look, this is just something we're going to have to go through. You don't have a job. You don't have no money. I got the job. I just lost my apartment and car. Not because I'm out here doing crazy, stupid stuff, because my cousin just passed away off a seizure that I had to discover him on Thanksgiving morning of November 24, 2022. I discovered my dead relative in our apartment in his room, dead. He died of a seizure. That's not something I could control. That's not something that had to do with me. She put that situation on me because I lost my apartment. She blamed
Okay,
me
Mr.
for not
Body,
being
I think
able
you're starting to repeat
anything.
yourself here. I think we got a lot of that. Let's see. Are you working right now?
Yes, sir. I as I mentioned, I work a nighttime security job. I work at nights and I own my own clothing line. I'm a co-owner at that. I have an investment partner. I have a business partner.
Okay.
So I'm a co-owner.
You said you were
And-
making about $2,000 per month?
Yes, sir. I make roughly 500 in 2 days. I work Saturdays and Sundays. I make 500 in those 2 days. And then whatever I make from my clothing line is not much because it just, as I mentioned, it just started. I just got it up and running a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. So I haven't even got traction with my clothes or anything like that. So,
And do you have any other children besides?
no, sir. This is
Zaire?
my only child. This is my only child,
Okay.
person only.
Okay. From what it sounds like, is it fair to say that you want her to bring the child to you so you can have the visits? Is that what you're seeking?
I would like it if she could bring them to me some days and not me having to always come out there. Because now, again, this goes with my family. You know, she's talking about how I treat my family bad, but yet me and my mom and my family and my sisters all have the best relationship. So whatever she's claiming is literally whoever she's talking to. I don't know. Some girl probably claiming to be my sister. I don't know. But she ain't talked to my family because I know for sure my family just told me they ain't spoke to Mr. Hicks in months. So I don't know where she got that information from. So personally, I don't know where she's getting that from. Me and my mom, like I said, if push comes to shove, if I was to lose my apartment, I can go live with my mom and my grandmother at their home in Hutto, Texas. Okay. And I told Miss Hicks, like, hey, I have a dying grandmother, 2 of them. They have dementia, 85%. So like where they can't get up. My mom is my grandmother's caretaker. So my grandmother can't be left alone for long periods of time. But Miss Hicks always tells my family and me, we got to come out there to see Zaire because she doesn't want to drive up here or something is wrong with her car. But when I've been without a car this whole time. It never been a problem for me to go see my son. I pay $200 in Uber. You know, all right, you don't want to get in an Uber with your kid, but you got mom and dad's car. Your mom and dad can't help you bring them up here, you know, and then you saying all these other things. I'm like, well, I feel like you're just making a bunch of excuses and you're keeping my kid away from me because there's no way I've always got to, like, I can't always pay $200. Like, I literally can't always pay that. So now you're telling me I got to pay $200 every time.
Okay, Mr. Body. We've been talking about child support, talking about medical support. For the court's information, Your Honor, the state's not able to find any. We do see that Mr. Body has a work history. However, income is not high enough to even reach minimum wage presumption in that history over the last couple of years. Based on the information that I have available to me, Mr. Body, I calculate that your child support, and this is going based on what you've said here, $2,000 per month. I calculate that child support would be $342 a month for child support. Are you in agreement to pay that amount?
$342 a month. I can, sir, I'm gonna be honest. I have no problem with that amount. I have no problem paying child support. I'm not here. I truly and honestly, I knew I was probably gonna have to pay something. All right, let me just get this out the way. I really was expecting the money part. I'm almost willing to give Miss Hicks the money. Okay, I just want the relationship with Zaire. If Miss Hicks doesn't want me around to be around her, okay, that's fine. We both agree to that. We both have moved on past our relationship. I don't know if she's something I physically harmed her at. Never done none of that. To my knowledge, never done none of that. So far as this relationship that we had for 3 years, actually not 2.5 for 3 years, it's been the same thing. And so, like I said, for me, I don't mind paying the $342. I can pay that.
I generally can. I literally have sent y'all that amount of money times 10 in the documents that I've sent. So the $500 that she's claiming that I've only paid is like, what happened to the other cash apps? What happened to the Venmo? What happened to the PayPal? What happened to the Apple Pay? And what happened to cash?
Additionally, Mr. Body here, for medical support, I calculate $57 per month. Do you have any objection to that?
So in total, we're looking at $450.
Well, we're not done yet, but let's see here. 342 plus 57, that's 399.
399, 400.
Okay. And the $57 would go for the child's health care coverage.
That's understandable, sir.
That would go to the state. That would not go to Miss Hicks.
That's understandable.
Just so that you're aware. And then with regard to back child support, I calculate that back child support based on both of y'all's testimonies and what I've seen submitted. And I don't think I have everything that you say you've submitted, but based on what I've seen, I believe that back child support judgment would be $3,658.
I'm sorry, sir. I literally sent that in. Like, I'm sorry. I won't agree to that one because I've literally sent that amount of money this whole time my son has been born. Like, that's what I don't know. I don't understand where my evidence went. I don't understand where my proceedings of all the money that I've sent her. I sent screenshots. I sent over 200, 300 screenshots of how much money I've sent her and how much it accumulated to over the course of time. I even sent you the statements in CashApp that shows how much money I've sent her. I have 2 different CashApp accounts. I've sent both of them. I sent my Venmo, I sent my PayPal, and I sent my Apple Pay in. I don't know where none of that money receipts went. I don't know where none of that went, but I personally calculated all of it, and it came out to roughly $4,000, $5,000. So I can't agree to that. I'm sorry. I can't. That's something I can't agree to. Back pay, I can't agree to that. I'm sorry. I will give back pay for the last 4 months. And I will say this because, as I told Ms. Hicks, and she understands why I said this because she brought it up too. We both agreed not to do anything because she initiated this child support. So I was like, look, I don't think it's fair for me to keep giving you money and then you're still keeping my son away from me. And I have no, like, it's basically like me just giving you money to take care of a kid, but I never get to see the kid, but you're constantly asking me for money. And I'm like, well, when can I see my son? When can I physically see my son? Not over an iPhone, not over an iPad. When am I physically going to be able to hug and kiss and love my son the way you're complaining about having to do every day? If you never moved away from Austin, this never is a problem. I have a stable home. I have a stable place to be. I'm very stable with my situation. I make money. I got things still to this day that I haven't sent Miss Hicks because I felt like, you know what? If she's going to keep saying I'm not doing enough, then I would leave all my son's stuff that I purchased here. I will leave it in his house until court is over with. And I can show you guys everything. I can literally pull it up right now. I can go grab it out of my closet right now. And I can show you everything that I have for my son that I've been just holding and storing away.
Okay, Mr. Body, let me stop you because for some reason I'm hearing most of it, but I don't think it's probably translated onto my recorder. For some reason it got a little sketchy or you weren't close enough to the microphone.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, lots better. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. What was the last thing you heard?
Well, talking about paying her money and you're in a better situation and that.
Oh, okay. So basically what I was saying is from whatever the last partake situation that she seen me in, and she also didn't make a accurate statement by saying she didn't know where I live because Miss Hicks has actually been to my apartment, not my new one. She's been to my old apartment and I have a picture of her inside of it. So I don't understand why she would say she didn't know where I lived. And she met my roommate. She knows my roommates. My roommates met her, seeing my son. This was July, I want to say July 3rd, July 4th of 2024. So again, that's another inaccurate statement that she's made. Far as like my situation now currently, yes, I have a roommate. Yes, I am living with a friend, a roommate. We have an apartment. As you see, I'm in my restroom right now doing this case because it's I don't want the confidentiality going out. So with that, I am stable. I have a place to stay.
I don't have a car. That is the only thing that I have a job. I work. I own my own brand. I work for myself, and I work a security job as well. I pay a 1099 every year for security because we don't get income tax. We get all our money through third-party apps, which I've sent y'all in as well to show y'all, like, look, this is what I made over the course of time. This is where I started. This is where I'm at. This is where it is. This is how much I made. I've sent all this in because I knew it was going to be a problem. I knew she was going to try to, like, not say I really took care of my son. And it's like, you can't say that. A $50 car seat, ma'am, that is disrespectful because the car seat cost me $240. She thinks this costs $50 because I got a friend that I know that works at a childcare place that helps me with getting materials for my son, like the bassinet that I sent her on the very first night our son was born. She still has the bassinet for that. But, you know, I don't get credit for that either. Not to mention, I bought him a car seat, not even for my own reason, because Miss Hicks said, oh, me and my mom constantly have to switch the car seat back and forth. It's just a lot of stress, a lot of time consuming, this, that, the third. So me being, you know what, I'm going to try to help this situation out. Let me buy you a car seat. I bought the car seat for her, and then she still was unappreciative of it. She was just saying, oh, it's not enough, this, that, and the third. I'm like, well, I didn't have to buy the car seat. I don't have a car. Like, I didn't need the car seat for me. Like, if I need a car seat at the moment, I can get one, go pick up my son in my mom's car with the car seat that my mom's has. I didn't need to purchase a brand new car seat for my son. I did it for Miss Hicks and her family so she can be benefited, so she didn't have to waste that extra time, so she didn't have to go to her mom's job, wherever that is, to go pick up the car seat, Jen, come back around. Like, I was just trying to help out. So undercrediting the car seat buy for $50 is kind of disrespectful. It's a 4-in-1 car seat. It costs $250. That's the actual retail price of the car seat. I paid $200 for it. The girl gave me a $50 discount is what she did. I don't know why Miss Hicks thinks I paid $50 for it when I gave her $200. The girl that I purchased.
Mr. Body, we got it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to figure out.
That's okay. That's all right. Tell me, how much would it cost you to travel to New Braunfels to have a visit?
$200, sir.
To your home.
$200.
$200.
An Uber right now costs me $200 to get from Austin, Texas to Miss Hicks' location. Yes.
But round trip. Round trip.
Okay. Yes, sir. That's $100 there, $100 back.
All right. Okay, Your Honor. I'll go ahead and pass the witness.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Body, I have listened very carefully to your testimony. Isn't it true that you just stated that you don't even know your child, that you've seen him approximately 6 times?
I said 8. Yes, I said 8 times his entire life because Ms. Hicks has moved away. Yes.
Isn't it true that you testified that you haven't seen him more than 5 hours at a time?
Yes. I said I haven't been.
You said that you have. Okay, listen closely to my questions. Okay, you stated that you currently live in Austin.
Yes.
What is your address?
No, don't publish it on the internet if you need it for your
I'm not going to disclose my address live. I'm sorry.
That's okay. The state has your address already. If she needs it for legal purposes, I'll deal with it after the fact, but not on that.
Fair enough. My question is have you ever given Ms. Hicks your address?
She doesn't have my new address because your client has me blocked. So no.
She does not have your current address?
No, she doesn't, because she has stopped contact with me.
Is your roommate male or female?
Male and a female.
A male and a female?
Yes, ma'am.
And do either of them have a criminal record?
No.
Okay. Do you have a criminal record?
We just went over this. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Want to make sure. Aggravated assault with a deadly weapon firearm. Is that correct?
That is the charge that I'm getting appealed in the current motions. Yes.
Do you currently own a firearm?
No, I'm on probation.
Okay. So as a security guard, you don't have a firearm?
I am a level 3 security guard. That means I can hold up to everything else besides a gun. Anything that shoots projectiles.
Okay, you've been charged with possession of marijuana. Do you currently use marijuana?
No. I'm on probation. Again, you can't do any drugs.
Okay, you had 2 bond forfeitures, correct?
Right. As I just explained from the jaywalking ticket.
And you have a protective order against an individual you were in a
The
private.
protective order has been honored and served. It was only for 2 years, and I've done it, and it's complete. You can go check the files.
You stated that you got into an altercation with Ms. Hicks at the hospital. You confirm that, correct?
We got into an altercation. Yes.
And you were asked to leave. Is that true or false?
I was asked to leave only because she.
Question. I'm asking you a yes or no. I'm asking you a yes or no question.
Yes.
Okay. Were you also told that you could not be on the campus? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. You also were told that you were not welcomed in the home of the Hicks family. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you know why that is?
Because me and her father had words with each other, and he threatened my life, and the conversation did not end well. So he told me never to come back to his house.
And you said, and your response to him was, please be nice to me?
My response was, do what you have to do if that's what you feel is necessary.
Okay. So you were going back and forth with her father.
Her father attacked me. I came back with a response. Yes.
Okay. Do you understand that it's a possibility that Ms. Hicks may be fearful of you?
I wouldn't understand that. I think that is just a personal thing in her relationship that we had for 3 years, that she's upset with how things went. I will be honest to say that she's upset with how things went, because truly and honestly, Ms. Hicks have been knowing me for the past 3 years, and she knows, and we both know, that I am not a dangerous man towards her. I protected her. I did everything in my will to make sure she was safe. So
that's not what your record is showing, right?
Yeah, my record.
I mean, not everybody has an aggravated. Not everyone has an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, a firearm. Not everybody has an aggravated assault causing serious bodily injury. Is that true?
Yeah.
Not everybody has been told to leave a doctor's office. Not everybody has been told that you have to leave the campus. Not everybody has been told you need to leave the home of the parents, correct?
I've never was told to leave their home. I was told I'm never to come back. That's the difference.
Okay. But that doesn't happen to everybody. As a matter of fact, when we've been to court a couple of times and you haven't even been able to get along with the people at the AG's office, isn't that a fact? Haven't you gotten into an argument with the people at the AG's office? I agreed
to the terms that they were asking, and I told them I don't want to speak because I would rather speak in front of a judge, someone that's going to actually help me make the decision on what they're asking, what you and your client were asking for. I denied those claims because I did not want to agree to what you were asking, what she was asking. And so I told the AGs, I do not want to talk. I don't have time for this meeting. And as a matter of fact, in the day of our court, I had a very important meeting to attend, and y'all wouldn't let me go. So I was telling the people, I don't want to agree to no terms because I would rather talk to a judge. So when you say, did I get aggressive with them? No, I literally told them what it was. I told them I had to go, and Ms. Hicks and I'm guessing is her lawyer. I told her I don't want to talk to the mediators because mediators don't help me or listen to me. So if you take that as being aggressive because I said I don't want to talk to you because you're not going to help me, then I guess you're going to take that as aggressive. But that's how I said it. Never got aggressive. Never cursed them out. Never did none of that. I just said I'm not agreeing to whatever you guys were asking.
Mr. Body,
2024.
Okay. Let me explain to you how this goes, okay? Just for efficiency. We ask questions, you give us answers. You don't need to elaborate, okay? My question to you is this. Is any of this stuff your fault? You know, these charges, these criminal charges brought against you.
The criminal charges brought against me is my fault, but everything else that you're trying to place on me is a two-party situation. I would not take the blame for what Ms. Hicks is saying because Ms. Hicks also knows what she is responsible for in this situation. So her playing victim to this whole situation is really blowing me because it's like, yo, you know what you have done. You know what you are doing. You
But
know what you
Mr.
I've
Body,
sent in all my evidence.
she
to show
does.
you this.
Miss Hicks does not have a criminal record. Isn't that a fact?
Ms. Hicks never had a criminal record. That is correct. Yes, I can.
Isn't it a fact that Mrs. Hicks has never been banned from your family's house?
She doesn't go to my family. So, and actually, quite frankly, my family is more welcoming than hers. So, no, my family never will ban her because there actually was acceptance of her, and they didn't try to make a situation difficult as if her parents were doing. So, when we speak on those terms like that, yes, my family.
I'm glad you brought up your family, because you said they were very supportive of you.
Yes, they are.
So my question to this is: none of your roommates,
My roommates don't know
your mom, your sister, nobody has a car for you to come visit your son. Is that what you're telling me?
Now,
if they do, they're not giving you a ride.
I stated I could take my mom's car if she's available to go see Miss Hicks. Me and my mom.
How many times have you done that?
I have not been able to do it. If I can explain why, because Miss Hicks knows our situation. My mom works a day job. She works for the state of Texas. Okay. I work at night. My mom she can't let me use her car to go to Miss Hicks because, first off, Miss Hicks.
Do you have a driver's license?
Yes, I have a driver's license. I've been having a driver's license since 2016.
Do you have insurance?
Yes. That's the only way you could drive a car now. If you have a license and insurance.
How much do you pay for rent in your apartment?
I pay $493. I have roommates.
$493.
Yes, I have a roommate. And that's just my rent. My water. You
stated that you make about $2,000 per month.
Okay? Yes.
Does that include the money that you make with your clothing line that you're co-owning? You're not a successful businessman.
I'm sorry, you're interrupting me. This is why you don't understand.
You've interrupted me, sir.
Okay, so.
Good. Stop this. Okay, one at a time, please, ma'am. Miss Tibbs, let him answer. Don't go on forever, Mr. Body.
I mean, she's just flooding me with questions. I can't keep asking several. I'm repeating myself. She said you heard my whole statements and then you're making me repeat myself. I don't get that.
Well, just understand that this is part of the process. I'm not going to stop her asking her questions. I've heard it already. I understand some of it's repetitive. Sometimes it helps me to remember or understand. And so if you can have the patience, which you need to show a little bit of patience here, because that's what I need to see from you generally if you want to see your child without making me think they're right about your temper. But I've also heard a lot of things that have concerned me that maybe aren't even issues, but I don't know. Ms. Tibbs, did you bring any witnesses today? Just your client? Ms. Tibbs, did you bring any other witnesses besides your client?
I have one, and that's Mr. Hicks.
Is he here available?
Her father. He was available earlier. I don't know if he's still on.
Yes, ma'am. She is.
Mr. Body, is your father in the room with you? Ma'am, Ms. Hicks, is your father in the room with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you heard all the testimony this past hour and how many minutes?
Yes, Your Honor.
An hour and 22 minutes. Ms. Tibbs, it didn't occur to you to tell me you might have a witness that might be sitting next to his daughter, and then maybe I should have invoked the ruler, had a chance to think about it?
It's a rebuttal witness. However, I don't really need him to testify. I would like to finish my cross-examination, though.
I would like you to finish too. However, I'm having more questions and answers, and y'all are so far apart. I'm trying to do the right thing, and I'm not going to flip a coin and say either of you are right on everything or wrong on everything either. Mr. Body, did you bring any witnesses?
No, ma'am.
So can you get your mother or your sister or somebody to come at some point?
Yes, ma'am, I can. I can call my mom. We can add her to the Zoom call, whatever's necessary.
Okay. Mr. Valderas, did you really get, I don't know how many receipts or whatever from all these apps?
No, Your Honor. I'm not saying Mr. Body didn't send that in, but the only pages I have are 32 pages of some text message screenshots, Uber receipt, or I guess rideshare receipts. I'm not even sure which exactly agency, Uber, and some CashApp, several pages of CashApp payments, small dollar amounts, $2, $10, $4, $13.
Yeah, see, I don't know where it was all being sent, but I've sent it all in. I've sent it all in. Trust me.
Okay, Mr. Body, I'm not asking you questions right now. I'm trying to figure out what else I need that I'm not going to get today, or maybe let me finish. Let me let you finish your cross-exam as tips so we can get done with that. But Mr. Body, I need you to listen to the question. Just answer the question.
Yes,
There's a
ma'am.
part where you get to add more if you need it without repeating yourself, because I don't want to hear this thing 3 times.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
tips, you ask a question, let him answer it, and let me cut him off if he goes beyond, or object at least, or something, instead of you just cutting him off and starting a different question and y'all aren't listening to each other or letting the other one end anyway. So it's not helping me at all if it's going to go that way. So help me and follow the rules a little bit, and maybe I can get more information out of this thing. So Ms. Tibbs, go ahead with your further cross-examination.
My question in regard to your income, Mr. Body, is you stated you make $2,000 per month. Is that correct?
Yes.
Does that include the income that you get from your
No.
business? How much money do you get from your business?
I don't make enough to where it's enough to even put in documented tax forms, because I just started up. I have zero traction with my clothing line. I have no money made.
You
The
haven't
most
made-
money I made is $80 off my clothes.
How much have you invested in your clothing business?
I have a partner, so I personally didn't put no money into it.
And do you have income tax returns, and have you turned those into the AG's office?
I have all that I've sent in. I don't know where it's went, but I've sent it all in.
Do you have copies of it?
Yes.
And you're willing to produce that?
I can show all of it right now.
When is the last time you have sent money to Ms. Hicks?
As I mentioned, I did not send Ms. Hicks any money. And I will say, I can double check, correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say June, or no, not June, July, August, around that time is when I stopped sending her money, because as she stated, and as she stated in the text message, she wants to not do anything pertaining our son, Sire Dion body, until court was finished. So when she initiated that, I took it as the same, like, okay, well, I won't send you any money until court is finished. Since you want to allow me to speak with my son and have a relationship with him and not have the time that I need with him, it's going to be the same situation. She initiated it. I just followed her rules. Now it's a problem, because she initiated it.
Again, when was the last time?
August. That's what I said.
August of what? 2024, 2023?
2024 of August.
2024. Okay. When's the last time you visited your son?
As I stated, I don't see my son. The last time I physically seen my son was July 6th of 2024. And that's because a friend of mine was throwing a house party that I got Miss Hicks and our son to come up with. I personally paid for her to come up and personally paid for her to go back home for, just so I could see my son. And that same day, I sent her back home with the same car seat that she said I paid $50 for. So yeah, that was the last time I seen my son.
How long did you see him?
The party was roughly like 6 hours up until Miss Hicks was ready to go.
The question that I had about this, you weren't allowed to go to the Hicks's home, correct?
Correct.
How long has Miss Hicks lived in Comal County with her parents?
Way before our son was even born.
Okay.
She moved when she was pregnant with Sire.
So she was living in Comal County when
she was pregnant with Sire. Yes, ma'am.
When your son was born.
She was living in Comal County when Sire was born. Yes.
Okay. So how many times have you been to the Hicks's home to see your child?
Father's Day was one. And whenever I got a free weekend from Goodwill, which was Saturday, usually is when I would try to make the day to come see him, every other Saturday of that month. So I want to say Father's Day and excuse me. Father's Day and maybe like a few weekends in July. One weekend I know for sure in July. And then I went to visit him twice in not April, August. This was all the first month, 2 months of him being born. I haven't seen my son regularly, haven't been able to go out to see him, haven't seen him physically since then.
Okay, so if you're not coming to San Antonio, I'm not San Antonio, but Comal County to visit your son, and you're saying this Uber cost is $200, how many times did you pay a $200 Uber fee?
To go see him?
Yeah.
More than 3 times.
Not 6, but 3.
5, if you want to be exact number.
And each time you had to catch an Uber.
Every time.
Okay, so then the statement that you made regarding her coming there to visit you did not happen?
She never came to Austin to let me see my son one time, besides the time I paid her to get up here. That's it.
But she came there.
I paid for her to come up here. Yes, ma'am.
So she went to go visit you on one occasion. Do you understand that she may be uncomfortable exchanging the child with you?
And that's my problem that we have here today. That's a problem that I'm having here today, is the fact that Miss Hicks, your client, is asking for all the security and comfortability with a child that I've never even got to spend time with. So for her to make a false statement like, oh, I'm a danger to my child, she's this, that, and the third, where have I been a danger to him at if I've never been around him to even be around him? If I never had a time period to even be around him? And for Miss Hicks to say I'm a danger to kids, knowing that I have nieces and nephews that she had met and seen, is kind of wild for me to honestly understand, because I've been raising kids my whole entire life.
If your child is 18 months old, correct?
Tomorrow he turns 18 months old, yes.
Okay. And you've seen him maybe 5 times?
I stated, 8. I stated 8.
Never no overnights by yourself, correct?
Never. I've never been by, without Miss Hicks around, I've never been with my son.
From the perspective of a child, do you think that child would be comfortable staying with you for an extended period of time?
I will say yes. As of right now, he doesn't know who I am. And we both know why, because Miss Hicks has kept him away from me. She literally tries to say, oh, he's just grumpy, and oh, he's just sleepy. And so the day of our party, the day of his party, actually, June 15th at Peter Piper Pizza, in the hotel where this incident she's talking about, I yelled at my son. I did not yell at my son. I yelled in the general area of our son because he hit me in my eye with a toy. And I just said, excuse my language, I said, fuck, loud in the hotel. I did not scream at my son. I did not yell at him. I didn't get in his face. I didn't do any of that. And then quite frankly, I walked in the restroom and I literally sat in the restroom for about 10 minutes. Miss Hicks knows that because she tried to walk in the restroom and say, are you okay? And I told her, please just give me time to myself right now. Just give me time to myself.
And this, sir, was your response to a child who is under the age of 18 months, who is learning.
Correct.
Learning how to control his motor skills, hit you with a toy, and that was your reaction.
Yeah. Me yelling fuck, and excuse my language, me yelling fuck in an open area, instead of yelling at my son, getting mad at my son, I just screamed fuck because I was in pain. Yes, that hurts. Someone smacks you in the eye with anything, I think you're going to be in pain.
So you withdrew yourself from that situation?
Yes, to avoid any, whatever she's trying to claim that I am. Like, I didn't show my son aggression. I yelled, fuck, excuse my language. That's all I yelled. And I went in the restroom because I knew I was angry. But I wasn't going to display that in front of my son or him. Because
have you ever taken anger management classes?